Don't underestimate the power of slide decks in A/B testing programs. It happened to me. I would document everything very neatly in Airtable, dashboards to look at for everyone, easy to read, automatically generated and sent by email, but people wouldn't read it. They just wouldn't. They wouldn't go to Airtable. It would be a step too far for them. So some organizations are just not ready for something new. They might just fully thrive on PowerPoint decks. Welcome to the CXL Feed. We'll travel back into the Stone Age where stakeholder slide decks are very important. PowerPoints are very important. And we'll be talking about the two biggest mistakes that you can make in creating and sharing those decks. Like I said, sometimes you can't fight the forces you're dealing with. And especially in bigger corporates where ways of working have been there for like forever, it is very hard to change that. And it's not only me experiencing this. I am founder of Women in Experimentation and we have over 1,000 women all over the world, and every once in a while this question pops up like, hey, what is the best format to communicate this? How much detail to go into and how do you socialize your result? Back to creating presentations. Of course, you can make fancy presentations. You could use Canva to have a nicer layout, for example. But most people just want to be able to have a PowerPoint. They know how it works. It's easy. They know which button to click to put it on the big screen or to save as a PDF. Also, Prezi came up like a few years back and it was fun and entertaining. In my experience, it didn't really stick because people didn't really know how to use and share them, etc. As a consultant, of course, I have my own ways of working. I can build the fanciest stuff if we're talking about A/B test results and, anything else that is a slide deck. But when I work with my clients, sometimes that's just a battle I don't want to fight. I try to make it easy for the company I'm working with to go towards them and use the tools that they already have. Because I want it to be as easy as possible for them to digest the information that I am creating for them. Now, while creating stakeholder slide decks, and stakeholders can be anyone, right? Anyone outside your team, another manager. And this is the number one mistake, sharing too much. Because we are enthusiastic about our results, right? We did research for ages, we found this problem, then we had to solve this problem, and there was like 100 of solutions. We picked a solution, or maybe a few with different variations. Maybe we run into some problems as well. When it comes to slide decks, you don't want to be sharing too much information. So what is the base of the elements that should be in a deck about an A/B test? Of course, a hypothesis, not only for your scientific process, but also because it's kind of like a natural cliffhanger. So if you put there like, hey, we found this issue and we're going to change this because we want to know if it works, it kind of is like posing a question and people tend to want to have an answer. So maybe that will also help your deck being read better. Then, of course, you want to have it very clear what the result was. So you want to see immediately like, hey, this variant was the winner. And you want to be able to see what the uplift was on the main KPI and maybe also on the secondary KPIs. Then strategically, you also want to be talking about next steps. If you're going to iterate more before any team should really implement it, or, before any team should go ahead and try it for themselves. Maybe you want to do more research, or maybe you won't implement at all. So this is very important to talk about as well. This is what a stakeholder slide can look like. I don't think it's the fanciest one, but it does the job. So what you see is the hypothesis, the result. It's very clear which one won, seeing all the green over there. And then the next steps. For this client, they were also particularly interested in how much money it would make and what the uplift was. So we put that in there as well. Also, you see there on the top that the name of the test is also written there. And I find that very handy because sometimes screenshots of this deck live their own life. And then when I see them, I can immediately search in Airtable the number of the test and find back the full report. Additionally, you might like to add things like targeting, which device it was testing on, maybe even prioritization score. If not, you can put them on the next slide because you will need this info for yourself to be able to replicate tests. Science, of course, is all about replication, and this result might not still be a win in 5 years, so you might want to retest that. Of course, you have more info. You did a lot of research. You can put them in slides after the first slide, after the most important slide. What kind of information do you want there? Maybe you want to deep dive into the research you did beforehand, UX research, whatever it is. Of course, you want to have raw data somewhere, maybe some statistical significance for the real geeks. Then maybe you want to share some additional secondary metrics. And if you're doing A/B testing very well, you can also combine qualitative input to your quantitative research. So maybe you have some heat maps. Those are a very easy form of extra information. But maybe also run a survey inside your A/B test and ask people, maybe 10% of people in the variant, like, hey, what do you think about it? This is what a deep dive slide on data can look like. So you can really see like the control, the variant. Maybe you would even want to mention if there is a SRM check being done. You see the click-through rate, you see the uplift. So just a better sense of the data that was collected. And additionally, the next slide could be about heat maps or whatever it is that you still want to document. Then the number 2 mistake in making stakeholder slide decks is creating a fixed presentation. Now it sounds great. You always want to use the same format. And I think that is great. That is a great step to do that, to standardize. But you want to kind of keep on optimizing this presentation like it is an online product. So you want to actually do this with all your forms of communication, but think about how do you send out this information? Do you send it with an email? Then maybe you want to optimize that process as well. So I worked for Spiro for a while, which is of course the CXL agency, and I ran programs, and sometimes we would send regular newsletters, like every week or every month. But we were not actually so sure if they would be read at all. So one easy trick you can do is just not send it for a while, for a couple of weeks, for a couple of months. See if anyone complains. If no one complains, that might not be the way for this organization. If emails are being read, then you can think about, hey, what should that email look like? Should I just attach the PowerPoint there as a PowerPoint, as a PDF? Or should I screenshot it and paste it into the email? Or just copy the text from the presentation into the email? So those are all options you can think about. Of course, you can also run a survey in your email and just ask, hey, are you enjoying these emails? Are they helpful? What can we improve? Those kind of things. Next to that, you will get a number of presentations, right? You will do A/B testing for a year and you will have a ton of A/B test decks in the end. So where do you document them? Whatever system you use, it's important to know if your people, your stakeholders, other teams know where to find tests that are being done. So you can ask people if they know how to access a test from a year ago. And if they don't, you might need to help them, or you might need to do that differently. Then when you're presenting your slide deck at meetings, you will also notice that maybe the same type of questions will all the time be asked. And if that is the case, maybe you're always being asked about a certain secondary metric that is kind of funky to you but important to a stakeholder, then you might want to add that as well to your first slide, just to avoid this question all the time. So that's how you kind of keep on improving and improving and improving. Now, I created a post-test analysis deck for you that you can use. At least you can download it and use it for inspiration, but maybe you want to fully use it and customize it for yourself. All good, go ahead and have fun with it. Thanks so much for learning about slide decks, even though they're kind of an old thing. I'm Lucia van der Brink, and I'm founder of Increased Conversion Rate and Women in Experimentation.